would Ohio State actually send 3 players to New York City for the Heisman ceremony? Nathan, Steve, and Doug. There's 3 of us. There could be 3 of them. Ryan Day, when asked post-game, made a case for all 3 guys, but Justin Fields and J.K. Dobbins both had huge games here at Michigan Stadium. Michigan kind of sold out to slow down Chase Young, but Chase Young has probably been the leading contender for Ohio State so far. So I guess we could discuss, are they deserving? But let's discuss, do we think it actually could happen? They usually send between 3 and 5 guys to New York. Could 3 of those 5 be Buckeyes?
Plausibly, yes. I mean, obviously it depends on how they break down the votes, because that's what it comes down to. It's what percentages where the cutoff is. I still think Chase Young has a tough uphill climb. Did not really have any counting stats today in their biggest game of the year, in a day where their defense was exposed a little bit. And I think there's other people who already aren't going to vote for defensive guy. On top of that, they see a guy who missed 2 games for an NCAA infraction that he admits was his own fault. I think they're going to hold that against him. I think he's got the toughest climb of the 3 of these guys to get to New York in some ways.
You think he's the least likely of the 3 Buckeyes to get to New York?
I think he's the guy I would vote for. I think he's the best player in the country. But I just think those factors make it harder for him to get there than Dobbins or Fields. Fields obviously is the one that's most likely to go, I think.
All right, so this is all going to come down to after conference championship weekend, so we can talk about this for another whole week. The voting is the Monday after conference championship weekend. But as we stand here on the turf at Michigan Stadium with the 12-0 Ohio State Buckeyes, how many Buckeyes who will go to New York of Ohio State? Quick answer.
2. Fields and Dobbins.
All right, what about you?
Justin Fields and Chase Young are going to go. I don't think you're giving enough credit to how people are looking at Chase Young, in my opinion. I think he's 2nd or 3rd on most people's list right now when it comes to the Heisman race right now. Regardless of what he did today, his resume has been built, and I think he's going to have a better game in the Big Ten championship game, regardless of if they play Wisconsin or if they play Minnesota in that game. That game's actually going on right now. Justin Fields is a quarterback, and he's starting to put up the numbers a little bit, 300 yards back-to-back weeks. He's starting to put those numbers up. I think J.K. Dobbins has the highest climb as a running back. Personally, what Chase Young is doing is just not. It's you don't see that every single season. And Justin Fields is the quarterback for the number 1 team in the country.
I think it's going to be Young and Fields. I think Dobbins' problem is that Chuba Hubbard is putting up huge numbers as a running back for Oklahoma State, and the world is in love with Jonathan Taylor. I think J.K. Dobbins is better than Jonathan Taylor. I've thought that their whole careers. Most people don't think that. I don't know if you look at what J.K. Dobbins has done the past 2 weeks against Penn State and Michigan, maybe he can rise above that. But I think right now, Chase Young is the best defensive option. I think Justin Fields is the 2nd best quarterback option behind Joe Burrow. I think he's moved. Tua's been hurt. I think he's moved past Jalen Hurts. I think he's ahead of Trevor Lawrence. And then the question is, can Dobbins get to the point where he's the best running back option? I don't think he's at that point right now, but I think what he did at Michigan helped make a much greater case. So that's why I think 3 are possible, because if Dobbins can say, I'm the best running back, he might get enough third-place votes to find his way there.
I think in a scenario, if they 3 to 5, they send 5. I don't know if there are 2 other guys I can think of. There's
it's Burrow.
Yeah. So who's the 2nd guy other than Burrow?
Well, it doesn't have to. I mean, are the 4 best Heisman candidates in the country a former Buckeye and 3 Buckeyes?
Yeah.
Maybe. Here's the thing, though, and I might even revise my original statement to say maybe only Fields gets there, because I think you're probably right about Dobbins, the fact that he's probably 3rd on a lot of lists at best as far as the running backs, although I think he's much more deserving than Taylor at this point. But, again, you say Chase Young is the best defensive option, but this is not a thing that is voted on by a lot of people who go to Pro Football Focus and read their stuff and are big into analytics and look at things like that. There's a lot of just old fuddy-duddies who have already voted for a quarterback before the season was even started. And they voted for Trevor Lawrence, or they voted for Tua, who's injured, or that's who they decided they were going to vote for from week 1. It's not that refined and sophisticated of an award.
All right,
one more thing. You're right, except you don't have to go to PFF to see Chase Young is good. You can literally go watch the Wisconsin game and go watch the Penn State game, and those aren't analytical stats. Those are surefire box score stats that he's putting up that are showing you how good he is. So, you don't need all that extra stuff to see that. That's eye test.
This is what our podcast is like, by the way. So this is a podcast discussion. I'm sure we'll get into this. as Ohio State prepares for the Big Ten championship game in what will be the final buildup in that Heisman race. And by the way, nobody actually voted for Trevor Lawrence already. The ballots haven't gone out yet, but they will go out soon. Nathan, Steven, Doug, try the text at cleveland.com. Read our stories at cleveland.com. And thanks for watching.